I did not seek it. I did not plot or plan anything for myself. Desidido na ako eh. In fact, I already told you in our last program with you, I am retiring after this term in Congress because I have served politics in the country for 50 years already. 5 decades. Tama na yun, sabi ko. I'll devote the rest of my life enjoying myself with my family, with my grandchildren, traveling around, enjoying life.
That was Vice Presidential candidate Lito Atienza in an interview on One News on October 5, 2021. That date is significant because the filing of certificates of candidacy for national positions was ongoing at the time. The 80-year-old said he was convinced he was retiring from political life. But that is, until he got a call from his good friend Senator Manny Pacquiao asking him to run alongside him as Vice President of the Philippines. I'm Franco Luna, PumaPodcast. In this episode, let's get to know the veteran politician who has decided to press on despite facing health issues. Lito Atienza is a veteran politician who once served as mayor of Manila City for 3 terms in the early 2000s. His experience in the political arena spans more than half a century. Yep, 50 plus years. So Lito himself says he wasn't so sure when Manny Pacquiao first broached the idea of running together. Here he is in another interview on One News on the program The Chiefs.
Sabi ko, alam mo, Manny, committed na ako sa iyo eh. Let's get somebody else. Then I will be an addition. But I don't need to be your vice presidential tandem. Pero sabi niya, hindi. Are you committed to help me? Sabi ko, yes, all the way. Then you run with me. You know me very well, like the palm of your hand. I'm like a son to you. And as he puts it, pag nanalo tayo, I need your advice. You are more experienced than I am. See, that's kind of a man he is. Hindi siya pretentious, hindi siya nagmamang-mangan. You are a more experienced bureaucrat. Lahat dinaanan mo na, lahat, except the Senate. Palagay ko patutulungan mo ako ng malaki. And true enough, I have to admit, marami akong may tutulong kay Manny na mga pinagdaanan kong mga responsibilities sa gobyerno. And that's the reason why I accepted it. I want to help Manny win and I want to help him administer properly.
On paper, the pairing makes sense. It didn't surprise anyone that Pacquiao, a devout Christian, decided to run with someone who shares his policy position. The two had a close working relationship in Congress, and Manny says this is precisely why he chose him. The two are campaigning on a platform of good government and a crackdown on corruption, which some analysts say is so generic and cliched, and the reason why Atienza, despite his long track record, has not done well in pre-election surveys.
So all we need to do is fight corruption and face up to it and defeat corruption and remove corruption in government, and the Filipinos will get a life that we've been truly deserving all this time. Kawawa naman tayo. Pagod na tayo sa paghihirap. And I'm telling you, unless we do something about corruption, no good economic program, no beautiful economic program will succeed.
Like Pacquiao, Atienza is known for his ultra-conservative views. Calling himself pro-life, he has strongly opposed divorce, same-sex marriage or civil unions, as well as filed measures against the reproductive health bill. He once infamously said that he would support same-sex marriage, quote-unquote, once man can get pregnant and give birth. And these are views he will take to the grave.
I would like to believe, yan medyo may influence ko. Sapagkat napag-uusapan namin ng mga issue ng bayan. Ako naman hindi magbabago sa aking paninindigan sa mga anti-life proposals, divorce, same-sex marriage, death penalty, legalization of marijuana. Hindi na magbabago ang aking paninindigan dyan. Naikwento ko kay Manny, bakit? Naipapaliwanag ko, bakit? Palagay ko, meron na ring influence yung aking paninindigan sa kanyang pagtanggap ng katotohanan. Hindi death penalty ang solusyon para maputol ang krimen.
As Environment Secretary under the Arroyo administration, he was heavily criticized over his anti-conservation record when he was mayor of the capital city. And yet, despite calling himself pro-life, Atienza also strongly supported the Duterte administration's controversial war on drugs, as Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives. He also remains in favor of the death penalty. In 2019, the Buhay Party List representative asked congressmen to draft a resolution expressing unanimous support for the government's anti-drug campaign. If elected, he says he'll focus on continuing his support for Pacquiao. In fact, that's all he's there for. He has no specific platform. He's just there to be a sidekick.
Let me make it very clear. What I'm going to share with you is not my program of government. I do not have a program of government. It is Manny Pacquiao who has a program of government. To me, I just commit myself to be a very effective partner of the President to ensure the successes of his vision and program of government.
Wala po tayong hawakan portfolio kundi maging super assistant president. Vice president na. Wala naman
Super
sinasabi
assistant,
batas. You are the vice president. You are the number 2 official of the land. So, para sa akin, mas importante yung accessible ka on a day-to-day basis. At ang ipinapangako ko sa inyo, hindi ko aawayin ang Pangulo sapagkat hindi dapat nag-aaway ang magulang. Pag nag-aaway ang magulang, ang magdurusa ay mga anak. Pag ang presidente, vice-presidente, mayor, vice-mayor, governor, vice-governor ay nagbabangayan, wala pong mabibigay na improvement sa buhay ng mga tao.
And during his years as a student leader under martial law, Atienza was actually arrested for criticizing human rights abuse under the regime of Marcos. But as a lawmaker, he supported Marcos Sr.'s burial at the libingan ng mga bayani. He said state forces should be blamed for the abuse, not Marcos. And yet, like his fellow candidates years later, Atienza is also fearful of a Marcos return to power.
But the prevailing main reason is my thoughts of having another Marcos government. Because if we can do anything to prevent that, we should contribute what we can now. Huwag natin payagan mabalik ang bansa sa kamay ng o sa kuko ng mga sa kuko ng mga dambuhala.
But Atienza has been barely visible since campaigning began. Most of it has to do with the fact that he sprained his knee and eventually had to have surgery, which meant he also couldn't be physically present at the debates and sorties. At one point, he seriously considered withdrawing from the vice presidential race and suggested that Senate President Tito Soto should replace him.
Tito is another man I've known a long time ago. He's a solid pro-lifer. I'm very, very at ease with endorsing a man like him. You say you love your country, you have to be self-sacrificing. Hindi pwede yung basta laban tayo, laban. Laban, lahat tayo pababa na.
Naturally, that didn't sit well with Soto's running mate, Senator Ping Lacson, and Atienza and Lacson ended up having a word war. Whether or not he withdraws from the VP race, not many are expecting him to win, which may just as well be. After all, how can an 80-year-old man carry out the vice presidency's most important function? To be the spare tire in the event something happens to the president. And that was today's episode of Teka Teka. Again, I'm Franco Luna. This episode was edited by Presh Capistrano and produced by Kat Ventura. If you liked this episode, share it with a friend or two. For more coverage on the elections, search hashtag PumaPangulo in this channel. And of course, don't forget to follow Teka Teka and PumaPodcast wherever you listen. Thanks for listening.